Hey everybody, I'm Becky Adams. Thank you for stopping by my YouTube channel today. Today I have a fun project using the brand new Feelin Frosty collection from Simple Stories. I've done a couple of things off camera just to get things started, and I'm going to show you how I put this background together. You'll see on the very bottom of this pile of papers is a piece of craft cardstock. And I'm using that as my base. It's just a piece of cardstock that I've had for a long time that I haven't used. And I want to use that as a base instead of one of these pattern papers because I just want to save the other papers. So I have this pink polka dot paper, and I just used my big ruler and an X-Acto knife to cut that in half from corner to corner. And then I did the same thing with this pattern paper. And one side is a cut apart sheet, and the other side is the blue dot that you'll see that I'm putting down right there. I was just checking a minute ago to see which side I wanted to use on this, because I knew there was one cut apart card that I wanted to save. So I'm just adhering those. I'm not too worried about them matching up 100% exact there in the middle, and you'll see why in just a second. So I adhered those down, and you can't see here on screen very well, but that pink dot paper I did some stitching on that just with my sewing machine and white thread along the long edge. And then I have a couple of pieces of ribbon that I wanted to add to make this diagonal line really pop. So I'm taking a 1/2 inch double-sided tape and just putting that along the whole edge there on the diagonal right in the middle. And then I'm just placing that ribbon right on top of that. This is just some ribbon that I had in my stash. And then I wanted to layer on top of it some another piece of pink ribbon. And so to make sure that everything stayed nice and adhered, I'm using some really strong red double-sided tape. And so I'm just pushing that down really well because it takes a little bit of pressure to get it to adhere really well when you're adhering ribbon or fabric instead of paper. So I'm just having a hard time removing that backing. I don't know why I didn't grab my X-Acto knife there because it's right there by my hand. But anyway, I did get it off, and it's kind of hard to tell in the video in the lighting, but this is like a kind of a sparkly pink ribbon, and I like that little bit of sparkle, and I'll tie that in here in a minute with some silver glittery enamel dots, but that's a little ways down the road. So what I'm doing here is just taking a little bit of washi and securing the ends on the back. And I'm just doing that so they don't fray and get in the way. And then here in a minute, I'll show you how I permanently put those in place, because obviously right now you can still see the washi and it folded around the edges. It looks kind of messy, but I'll clean that up here in just a minute when I'm finishing up the project. So this piece of pattern paper that I'm working on adhering right now, I just pulled that right out of the 6x8 paper pad. It's not trimmed down, it's just, I took it right out of the paper pad and I'm using it right as is. And I'm popping it up just a little bit so that it, to make room for the ribbon that I put on the back. And then I have one 4x6 photo of my husband and a couple of nieces and my nephew. They made snowmen. This was actually on Memorial Day weekend. So anyway, and then the title is going to be Snow Much Fun. And it's really hard to tell in the video. I showed it right at the beginning, and I hope you'll get to see it better in the close-ups. But the word snow, I did some hand stitching just in a charcoal gray along the edges, and it looks so good up close, but it's really hard to tell in the video. But that the title comes from the page pieces, and that is my favorite thing to do with the page pieces, is obviously use them as large titles, but I love to stitch around them. So almost every collection, that's one of the first things I do, is pull out the page pieces and do some stitching. Okay, so moving on to the journaling. With this last release of collections, Simple Stories changed one thing or a couple things with their washi tape. One, they now have varying widths of washi tape within the same package, and there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 rolls of washi that come with the Feelin Frosty collection, and I love the little bit thinner. That's not quite so wide. And the first thing I thought of when I saw that washi was this journaling technique. And so obviously what I'm doing is I'm just putting a piece of washi down and then putting a journaling strip on top of it. And I love that it just gives it that little bit, it makes those journaling strips stand out just a little bit more without being super overwhelming, without taking your attention away from the photo and the title. So I just printed my journaling at home on regular white copy paper, and then I added, after cutting them apart, I added 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. And anyway, I'm just adhering that on top of the washi strip. So here at the very end, I was running out of space and I didn't want to do that very last strip for just a couple of words. So I just made it a little bit longer and combined those last 2 journaling strips. So now with my photo and my title and my journaling in place, I'm ready to move on to my title. And because I did some stitching on this, I need to use pop dots to adhere it so that it adheres everything sticks together better, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I couldn't get my words out there. So I'll just remove the backing, and then I'm just adhering that, slightly overlapping the photo and leaving a little bit of room there at the bottom for the rest of the title, which is Much Fun. And I'm just adding some pop dots to that as well, and kind of layering that on top of the word snow, the other part of the title. So now that I have my photo and my title and my journaling in place, it's time to add some embellishments. So of course, you know, I love tags, and the tag pattern papers from Simple Stories is probably my favorite paper in every collection of theirs. I love the tags. So I fussy cut a couple of the tags out, and then I cut the bottom portion of them off because you won't see them on this project, and I'll save them for another project. And then I adhered them to the top of the photo there, and then I love to add the adhesive brads in the hole of the tag sometimes. A lot of times I'll do the crochet thread, but today I thought it would be fun to add that little bit of kind of shine and dimension with the adhesive brads. And then I just got a few page die cuts from the page pieces as well. I used several different packages of die cuts to get all the snowflakes that I wanted. So I'm using, there's some foam stickers, some puffy stickers, some die cuts. Oh, and some regular stickers that came in the Feelin Frosty paper pack. And I just want a big cluster of, I guess not a cluster, but a lot of snowflakes going around that diagonal line. So they're at the very top where that pink snowflake is. What I was watching for there with that snowflake was at the top and the bottom, I want the same distance away from my embellishments, if that makes sense. So down by the washi at the bottom, there is about 1/4 of an inch between that and the edge of the paper, between the journaling strip and the edge of the paper. And so I want that same distance at the top with the snowflakes. So I'm just making sure, just adding a few more snowflakes. I thought about adding that that label sticker or the word strip and decided against it. It just didn't work like I wanted it to. And so we'll just go back and keep adding as many snowflakes as I can find to this. I thought the snowflakes in this collection were particularly adorable. I love that there's some colors within the snowflake. They're not just white. And last but not least, I'm going to finish things off with those enamel dots that I was telling you about earlier. And I'm just using the silver ones, and I do end up using every last one of the silver glittery ones from that package. So I am so happy with how this layout is coming together. I think it's so fun and bright, and I love that pop of pink to give it kind of a non-traditional feel. So, and I guess actually the puffy stickers are last but not least. The enamel dot, I forgot that the enamel dots came before the puffy stickers. So I'm adding just the little tiny bits of snowflakes, and then I think I added a heart or two as well. So we'll finish those off, and then the last thing that I need to do on this project is to fix the ribbon. And the reason I didn't do this to begin with is because it's got liquid glue on it, and it takes a minute to dry. So what I'm doing is just cutting the edges of the ribbon just right down to the edge. And then to make sure that it doesn't fray, I'll take just a little bit of liquid adhesive and put it on the edges and let it dry so that the ribbon doesn't fray. And with that, I'm going to call this one finished. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with me. Please make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. And thank you again, and I'll see you again soon.